In today's tip for Office 365, I'd like to show you how quick and easy it is to create a form. Now, Form is one of the apps that we use to create surveys as well as quizzes in Office 365. You'll see that when you open Forms, and of course you're going to see a lot of surveys that I've created already, you'll see the ability to create new forms or new quizzes. I'm going to click on New Form. Now, the most important part of creating forms is the planning, of course. It's very important for you to first gather all the questions as well as possible answers that you'd like to use for your form. Otherwise, it'll simply take too long. Preparing this in Word as well beforehand helps you to do decent spelling and grammar checks, of course, before you start building your form. Now, the first thing about the form is that it wants a name. So at the top there, you'll see that it's got a name that we can complete. We can also add a cute little logo to the form, which will sit in the top left-hand corner. And I can also add a description to this form. I always use this to bring a message into the users and tell them what this is about. So thank you for submitting this feedback. Okay. Now that also, of course, says at the bottom as soon as they submit, and we'll get to that in a moment. My first question would be when did you start using the intranet? And that's going to be a date column. So there's my question and there's a date. Of course, I can decide whether the column must be required or not. Now, mostly with surveys, columns are required except for additional comments. My next question will be asking them to rank what it is that they use the intranet for most. And you'll see that this has been added here. It's quite a new field that we can use. So I'm going to use ranking, and then I am going to copy and paste all the important fields that I want to use. And let me just get that formatting right. And then I'm going to say, see how much easier this is if you prepare your questions beforehand. Very easy to build them because I don't have to think about things. I'm going to add another option. So please rank the use of the intranet, top being the highest. I need to just test this again. I'm not quite sure how that works when we do fill in the survey. So we'll just check that to make sure before we send it out to the users. The next question will be a rating question. So I want to ask them, how do you rate your overall experience? We can actually do it by numbers or by stars, and I'm going to use numbers. I just want to go back and make this question, make sure that this question is required as well. It is. And then I'm going to add another question. What other feedback would you like to supply? Now remember, any other feedback would be non-compulsory. So I cannot make this required, but I will allow them to give extra answers. You'll see here that this question I actually want to move up. And there's a little button there that I can press and say, move this up one higher, and then I want to add the feedback at the bottom. Now that's how quick and fast it is to build a survey. When people start filling these in, you'll see the responses here. Now, lastly, I want to set up a nice theme for this so that it looks pretty, of course. And as mentioned, I can also add a little logo, which I'm not going to do right now. The settings is very important when it comes to your permissions. Under share, you'll see only people in my organization can respond. So that means they'll need their email and password to be able to log in if it's not on their normal device that uses single sign-on. This is also where you can say anyone with this link can respond. So if you want to send anonymous surveys, that's the way to go. Also, if you want to send surveys out that people fill in on their phones, it might be better to use that so that they don't have to log in first. You have different ways that you can share the survey. So of course, I can send the link to people. There's the link that I can send them, and if I click on it, it'll open the form. I can even give them a QR code. This is pretty amazing. So latest iOS on our phones also reads this in the camera, but the QR scanner on Android also reads it. I can embed this on a web page, even in SharePoint, and of course I can directly mail it from here. Now, if you want to see what the survey looks like, you can go to preview, and yeah, this shows you what the survey will look like on your desktop. I mean, how pretty awesome is that? And how quick was that to actually do that? And then this is what it'll look like on mobile. Automatically created and wrapped, and everything's beautiful. You don't have to do any extra work. So let's have a look and see how this rating works. Absolutely perfect. Please rank the use of this intranet, top being the highest. So I'm going to say I'm bored. is definitely my top reason for using the internet. And that's it. Voila. What a great app to use. And I hope that you'll be using forms and achieving results much faster, because you don't have to go through emails and try and gather information. Of course, when you do get the results, very easy to go to responses, and you can actually open it in Excel as well. Enjoy.